wires, what we need to do to create these jobs. And there is such great significance to the passage of time when we think about a day in the life of our children.
From a very young age, then, I learned that when people stand together, when we use our collective voice, when we stand in solidarity, we can drive extraordinary change, because it is we who stand together as the collective who have the power and the ability to see what can be, unburdened by what has been. And my entire career, like everyone here, I have been guided by a fundamental belief then in the power of the collective. And so for years, we have worked to expand investment in community banks. Because you see, community banks specialize in providing loans and financial assistance to small business owners. In particular, those in overlooked and underserved communities, including rural communities. And as the name suggests, community banks are in the community.
We can think of history as being a relay race. And of course, there are then those who carried the baton before us, and then they passed the baton to us. And we who are in this room right now currently hold the baton. And I do believe that the ancestors, that the founders, and we are talking about the founding mothers and fathers of our country, by the way, I do believe that they didn't necessarily think that we would end the race, but charged us with a responsibility to do as much and as best as we could while we carry the baton for our part of the race. During the course of being vice president, have many situations where it becomes clear to me that there are, people of every age and gender, by the way, who see something about being the first that lets them know they don't need to be limited by other people's limited understanding of who can do what.
Did Democrats fail, past Democratic presidents, congressional leaders, to not codify Roe v. Wade over the past 5 decades?
I think that, to be very honest with you, I do believe that we should have rightly believed, but we certainly believe that certain issues are just settled. Certain issues are just settled.
Clearly we're not.
No, that's right. And that's why I do believe that we are living, sadly, in real unsettled times. I know that one of the best ways we're going to keep our firefighters safe is to have more firefighters, to be able to work on the job with you, to be able to do the work that is about putting the resources into what the communities need. We also recognize, just as it has been in the United States for Jamaica, one of the issues that has been presented as an issue that is economic in the way of its impact has been the pandemic. So to that end, we are announcing today also that we will assist Jamaica in COVID recovery by assisting in terms of the recovery efforts in Jamaica that have been essential to, I believe, what is necessary to strengthen not only the issue of public health, but also the economy. This is just an extraordinary testament to the importance of having a president who understands the power of diplomacy and understands the strength that rests in understanding the significance of diplomacy and strengthening alliances. This is an incredible day.
What the hell are you talking about?
The nature of democracy there are two sides to it in terms of the nature of it. There's a duality. On the one hand, when democracy is intact, it is incredibly strong in terms of the strength it bestows on the individuals in terms of their rights and their freedoms. Incredibly strong in terms of what it does for its people. On the other hand, it's very fragile.
Our democracy will only be as intact as our willingness to fight for it. And so fight we must, and fight we will.
But it is also what we have to do to build up resilience, both in terms of infrastructure, as you might think of it in terms of building, but also natural infrastructure. So bringing the natural habitat back and strengthening that, because, you know, nature has given us some solutions to these issues. And so when we invest in growing and supporting nature and the natural elements that allow for resilience, we will cover a number of things. But when you present the suggestion that anyone is saying that it is time for a new generation, and they're running against the person who is president, and when presented as though it's an attack, I would like to let us all be clear that the attack is misplaced. If the point of it is that we need leadership that is strong, because we have a strong leader in Joe Biden.
Thank you very much, Madam Vice President.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
So you're now no longer are you necessarily keeping those private files in some file cabinet that's locked in the basement of the house. It's on your laptop, and it's then therefore up here in this cloud that exists above us, right? It's no longer in a physical place.
Was there any discussion in the White House about what the blowback would be for approving the Willow Oil project? Because people have gotten quite upset about it. I think there's some protesters outside right now.
Well, I think that the concerns are based on what we should all be concerned about, but the solutions have to be and include what we are doing in terms of going forward, in terms of investments.
AI is kind of a fancy thing. It's, first of all, it's 2 letters. It means artificial intelligence. But ultimately what it is it's about machine learning. And so the machine is taught. And part of the issue here is what information is going into the machine that will then determine, and we can predict then, if we think about what information is going in, what then will be produced in terms of decisions and opinions that may be made through that process. So to reduce it down to its most simple point, this is part of the issue that we have here, is thinking about what is going into a decision and then whether that decision is actually legitimate and reflective of the needs and the life experiences of all people.
We're not going to make it, are we?
The work of community work, and in particular violence intervention, is about investing in the community, understanding our capacity, understanding the greatness, and then being motivated with that knowledge to do what we can to reduce harm, but not for the sake only of reducing harm, but in investing in the potential and the greatness. That is the essence of this work.
Do you have any plans to visit the border?
I'm here in Guatemala today. At some point, we are going to the border. We've been to the border. So this whole thing about the border, we've been to the border. We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe. And I don't understand the point that you're making. It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day. Every day it is time for us to agree that there are things and tools that are available to us to slow this thing down.
So collective bargaining is about saying, let the collective come together around a common experience, which at its core is about dignity and the dignity of labor. That's right. And then let the people come together to negotiate so you make the balance. And then the outcome will be fair.
To the point, because it is a point that has been made. First of all, I would say that age is more than a chronological fact. I spent a whole lot of time with our president, be it in the Oval Office or the Situation Room and in other places. And I can tell you, as I just mentioned, not only is he absolutely authoritative in rooms around the globe, but in the Oval Office, meeting with members of Congress, meeting with leaders in industry, meeting with community leaders, I will tell you that he is in front of, often, everyone in the room in terms of thinking about how we can resolve issues,